Triple champion Paul Smith has been the man to beat so far this season in the Ravenel Formula V Championship, but the opposition are getting closer. At Donington Park, he won the first race by 9 seconds, the second by 8, and here yesterday Martin Farmer was within 7 seconds of him. So what's going to happen today? Smith lines up on pole position, Ian Jordan alongside him on the staggered grid. James Harridge makes a slow start though from the second row of the grid. It's Ben Maludi in the Storm that gets a little bit better away from row 2 of the grid. The field heading down towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Then it is Smith that leads. Maludi there just a little bit wild in third place. Harridge I noticed to drop back to 5th, I think behind Ian Buxton in his GAC. Field streaming through Druids for the first time. Then it's the AHS Dominator that's out front though, from the Shane Jordan in second place, of Ian Jordan making his first appearance of the season, but a car off in the gravel. That is number 62, David Lenevsky, the newcomer to Formula V this season in his Storm, and Ben Maludi in his Storm, also quite wild. He rejoins the circuit but running very wide through Clark Curve there and losing more places. Graham Gant goes through in the yellow Wev, but they slow up, which makes me think that the red flags are out, and yes they are. The race being stopped with that car off in a dangerous position at the side of the circuit. All set for a shortened restart. Lights are out and away we go. Up towards Paddock they go for the first time then. More than 20 cars taking part in this Formula V race this weekend. Again, it's Smith that makes the best of the starts on. In second place, Ian Jordan. Looks like Ben Maludi third, Ian Buxton fourth, Graham Gant fifth, and James Harridge sixth as they head through Druids for the first time in the race. That red and green coloured car going through as well. That's the Jake Hockley machine. The GAC, the ex-Ben Anderson and Brenton Jones car, being run by Brooklands College Motorsport. Oh, and it's getting very tight there in this pack. John Hughes, I can see, who was on the podium at Donington Park on one of his rare fall races, back out at Brands Hatch this weekend and keen to make up places from 10th position on the grid. He's just behind James Harridge now, so Harridge in the Maverick loses out on the straight to the Scarab of John Hughes. The Bristolian goes through. He's now behind Graham Gant. Meanwhile, there's more drivers trying to make up places as well. One of those may well be James Clennell, possibly down there too. But down to Druids, to Graham Hill Bend, I beg your pardon, they go. And it is Smith that leads, Jordan second, Buxton third, Maludi fourth, fifth is Gant, sixth is John Hughes, James Harridge is in 7th place, and then you've got the Bears Motorsport GACs next through, which I think are David Hughes and Martin Farmer, who qualified badly, caught out by a shower of rain. He came through to 2nd place at yesterday's race. The pack shaking up as they go down the straight. It's Farmer there trying to follow Hughes through and past Harridge. Harridge carries much more speed into the corner. He runs out wide as the result goes through the gravel. That allows Farmer to leapfrog both of them, and Harry Webb in the number 40 car is trying to make some ground up as well. He went well at Donington Park on his single-seater debut. So Gant is there, Hughes is just behind him, John Hughes that is, number 27. And it's Ben Maludi, so Maludi also has lost out at the Storm. He was on the podium yesterday behind Smith and Farmer in round 3 of this Ravenel Formula V Championship, which will continue at Croft in May. Field drops down through Paddock Hill Bend. There it is, 27 is John Hughes. Well, we can't see the number on the front of the other car, but that is David Hughes, number 4, I can tell you. And they are disputing 4th and 5th positions now. It's Graham Gant that is 6th, and Martin Farmer 7th. Word is reaching me, though, that Martin Farmer's got a penalty, a time penalty to be applied for track limits transgressions during the course of this race. So Martin certainly pushing on to try and make up places, but actually incurring the wrath of the officials in doing so. John Hughes, number 27, Scarab. makes its way through Clark Curve and back onto the Brabham Straight once more. You can see the leaders a little bit further up the road. Over the line they go. Now through the right-hander at Paddock. There it is, it's still pretty close, isn't it, between the first three, and now it's Ian Buxton that's in second place, and right behind race leader Paul Smith, number 1 now. So Paul Smith under pressure here, and this is really for the first time this season for the lead, because he's had pretty convincing winning margins in those first 3 rounds of the season. They're just coming up to lap here. Number 28, Sam Engineer, now out in a Storm SE2. He's got a lap down to the top 3 who go through now. Smith, then Buxton, then Jordan, local man from Tunbridge. Essex man Paul Smith it is that leads, but he's under a lot of pressure now from Buxton. They go on to the last lap. Buxton was in the tow, tried to go around the outside of Paul Smith. Smith was wise to that though, but Buxton stays in the tow here. Which way is he going to go? He's going to go to the left, is he? That leaves the door open on the right hand side of the circuit for Ian Jordan. And can Jordan get back through into second place? Yes, he can. So Buxton went to the left to try and unseat Paul Smith. That left the gap for Ian Jordan to slot his Shane into, and he has gone back into second place. In the last half a lap, can he do anything about Paul Smith? He has a look as they go into Surtees here. I suspect it's all going to be the direct to the line and getting past this back marker as well. They've all cleared that slower car, however, and Paul Smith has about a length and a half or 2 lengths. He's going to do it. He's going to make it 4 wins out of 4 at the start of the Ravenel Formula V Championship season. Checkered flag goes out. Paul Smith is unbeaten this year. Let's have a look at the results then and look at the winning margin, because it's not several seconds, only several tenths of a second this time. 0.42 seconds for Paul Smith over Ian Jordan, with Ian Buxton only 9 100ths behind him in third. John Hughes and David Hughes were 4th and 5th, with Harry Webb getting up to 6th from 13th on the grid. Ian Jordan got the best lap of the race. Best lap in Class B went to James Harridge, who finished 10th overall ahead of Adam McCauley Shane. Martin Farmer after that time penalty in the gap. Jamie Harrison, a good drive from the local lad, up to 13th ahead of Colin Gregory and Jake Hockley.
Paul Smith, winner of our Formula V race here today at Brands Hatch. A race of 2 halves really. The first half you pulled away, second half you were closed down on.
Yeah, after the sort of restart, I couldn't sort of get away. I don't think I had such a good start as the first start, and that was it. That was on my tail, and just chasing.
The second MX5 Cup race of the day gets underway with James Rogers leading off from pole position. But this 34 car field goes barrelling up towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time in what's scheduled to be a 15-minute plus 1 lap race, but not a good start by Jack Sycamore from the outside of the front row. James Rogers has got the lead, but Sycamore, I think, struggling to find the right gear there, and he's going to lose a couple more places. He's down to 4th or 5th position. It looked like Stuart Simmons might get through in the Club 100 liveried car there, and Sycamore, that would put him down to 5th place. Indeed it does. So it's Rogers, Blackwell, Chambers and Bessel, your top 3. Back on board with Sycamore, already lining up a move on Simmons here as they go down the Cooper Straight towards Surtees. And at Surtees, the lead changes. Blackwell Chambers goes through ahead of Rogers. Sycamore has got 4th. And look at that, there's 3 cars side by side. Ben Short launching his way through for 6th position, but I think Sam Smith there got caught up in that in the pink number 31 car. Yes, look at him. He's on the outside line there, dropping back down the order. Number 44, Jason Greatrix going through as well. He finished 8th in race number 1, racing without his brother Chris here, being here this weekend. So there's your top 4, Blackwell Chambers, Rogers, then Bessel and Sycamore. And a car off is the man that finished 15th in the earlier race. That's 131, Nigel Garrett. Now he is well and truly beached there. Now will that be safe to continue with his car in the gravel? We shall see. Oh, someone running a bit wide up at Druids on the exit of the corner. So top 4, Blackwell Chambers, Rogers, Bessel and Sycamore. Sycamore then, after that poor start from the front row, he finished 2nd of course in the earlier race. He'll be looking to make amends after that somewhat disappointing opening lap that saw him go from 2nd down to 5th and back to 4th again. 41 car you can see going through there as well in the background. That's Tom Smith in the Mike Comber Racing prepares machine. And hand in the air for Jack Sycamore there. What is he saying? Was he letting someone through. Has he got a problem down the straight there? It looks like he might do, because Simmons has certainly got through again, and Ben Short has as well. So it looks like Jack Sycamore has got a problem and is aware of it, and has allowed cars to go through ahead of him. That's all very odd, I must say. Thought he was looking good there and had latched himself onto the top 4. Sycamore running here between the cars of Ben Short and Stuart Simmons. Adam Bessel ahead of that little group then. And close action further back. Number 50 going through is Christian Young. Someone wide is 77. That's Grant Williamson, who was having dramas in race 1, but he powered his way through the gravel trap there. Sycamore now ahead of Ben Short, who's probably not as happy with that car as he is in his regular mount, because his pace is not where it should be. He's normally an absolute front runner. He won the championship of course last season, winning the vast majority of the races. So it's unusual to see Ben Short relatively languishing around the bottom end of the top 6. Blackwell Chambers it is that leads, then Rogers is second. Those two looking fairly comfortable at the moment, but Sycamore, well, whatever problems he's had in the early part of this race, he's seemingly overcome them now, because he is up now into, is that 3rd position from Bessel. He's trying to go around the outside of Bessel. Short's on the inside of him as well, so the danger is he could lose a place here, but he doesn't. So he's still there in 4th this for Jack Sycamore, but now down the inside into Graham Hill Bend. There was either a gap there or he made one, and he has now gone through back to P3 ahead of Bessel, who won the second of the races at Alton Park, round 2 of the championship. Then Ben Short and Stuart Simmons. Simmons, who started on 4th position on the grid for this race. After these 4, it is quite a gap back to the next group of cars. So Short, number 1, just ahead of Stuart Simmons. Number 38 for the driver from Longfield. Not too far away from here. Sycamore will be keen to try and get away from Adam Bessel and try and catch the 2 leaders. Cars heading towards Surtees here. We've seen going through the likes of number 86, Daniels Church. There's some great fights going on further back down the order. Number 60 there is Mark Willett. He's in the thick of it as well, and he throws a move up on the inside of number 72, Matthew Short, there at McLaren, and goes through at Clearways. Meanwhile here, Stuart Simmons is working very hard indeed to keep Ben Short at bay, and that's for 5th place, because with some spots of rain now on the camera lens, it's Bessel in 4th, Jack Sycamore in 3rd up ahead. I don't think either of these two are going to catch our 2 race leaders, who are still all Blackwell Chambers and James Rogers. Just saw them going through shot there. Looking back, you can see in 7th place, number 81, Sebastian Fisher. So he's made progress in this race, because he started 12th on the grid, and that's been the story of his day, really, making steady progress. Leaders start their last lap then. Sycamore has now made a bit of a break away from Bessel, who's still got pressure being applied by Simmons, who looks to the outside. That's not going to work though. And they make their way through Paddock Hill Bend and up the hill towards Druids once more. Fisher, then Sam Smith, who's recovering, and a wild moment for number 105, Roger Chesno. Oh, and he doesn't quite keep it out of the barrier. That's a shame. Roger in that 105 car, he finished 10th in race number 1. He's going to be a non-finisher here though, but he was 4th in the championship coming into this weekend, having had a 2nd place finish in round 2 at Alton. Meanwhile, Will Blackwell Chambers comes through to make it 4 different winners from 4 races this season in the 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup Championship. And he defeated James Rogers by just a little bit over half a second. In 3rd place was Jack Sycamore, 4th was Adam Bessel, 5th Stuart Simmons, and 6th Ben Short. James Rogers in 2nd place though, not the fastest lap, and the lap record of 57.67. He was further back, while Stephen Craig's getting another 11th place, finished ahead of Scott Apuliano, Paul Monteith, Howard Dean 14th, and Jack Williams this time, the man that rounds out the top 15 positions.
Will Blackwell Chambers, whatever changes you made, if any, seemed to work that time round. Nice win there.
No changes, just a significantly better start, and luckily managed to break the AB train. Once we sort of made a little bit of a gap, saw James behind me and basically just sat with that, trying to manage it. He was definitely catching towards the end, but just managed to hold out, was begging for the last lap board, and eventually checker flag came out.
It's quite hard here at Brands Hatch because you try and look in the mirrors, but there's not really a straight to do so.
No, you can just about watch out, but sadly around here, as soon as you're in the tow, you will never be able to break it, because however well you drive the corners, you'll lose any advantage you gained on the straight. So actually to be able to break that was lovely within the first couple of laps, and then just manage it from there.
One of the most eagerly anticipated races of the day is for the Disclock RGB Championship. Effectively, this is round 3. At Alton Park, John Cutmore beat Al Bolton and leading front-engined entrant Matt Higginson in race 1. Race 2 was abandoned after multiple incidents on a drying track. Yesterday, Cutmore made it his second win of the season. Again, Bolton was second with Oliver Hewitt third, the best result yet for the new Mattel MC53. On board with Charlie Thomas in one of the older Mattels, the MC52, and he gets very close indeed to Colin Chapman there as he launches off the line from row 7 of the grid. He's up alongside there Paul Rogers, who started on row 4, so a great start by Charlie Thomas to this race. He's got a long way up the order. I'm afraid to say that Sean Stafford Atkinson, number 68, that's beached in the gravel trap at Paddock Hill Bend, and no surprise to see that the red flags have come out for that one with the car stuck in a dangerous position, so we'll have a restart. So you have the two Spires on the front of the grid now, Allbone and Cutmore. Billy Allbone, the X750 Formula champion, but it's the best start by Al Bolton, who threads the eye of the needle, and he goes between both of them to take the lead in his VR Motorsport run Spire. Now the significant thing here is you just saw a car at the end of the pit lane. That was Scott Mittel, the champion from last year in his brand new Mittel MC53, but he was slowing when the red flags came out. It might have been an exhaust problem, so he's going to go back out from the pit lane and we'll see what he can do from there. Meanwhile, it's Bolton that's got the lead of the race from Matt Higginson, also away like lightning in the AB Arian, the first of the front engine cars. I thought was going to lose out to John Cutmore there, number 2. Billy Allbone from pole position dropped back to 4th place. He didn't make the best of starts. Here's Tim Hofford now, number 50, in his car that started on row 5 of the grid, the original grid in the Sabre T2A. Number 10 that he's attacking there is James Walker. He switched from the front to the rear engine class this season in one of the Spires, the Derbyshire built cars. Hobbit goes through ahead of him. Great noise these cars make, that's one of the great features of this. Meanwhile, up front we have had a change, because although it's still Al Bolton leading, it's now Billy Allbone that's got his way up into second place. Higginson third, John Cutmore is 4th, 5th looks to be the Mattel MC53 of the VR Motorsport run driver Oliver Hewitt, then 6th I think is Paul Rogers in the Contour. On board with Hewitt now, he's challenging John Cutmore here in the Spire. That's where the rivalry is in RGB these days, between the Spire built in Derbyshire, the Mattel built in Hampshire by the Mattel family. Well, Cutmore gets back through. He also takes Higginson's place away there as well, the ex-champion of course, and last year's front engine champion as well. And there's Scott Mittel, the champion, number 1, coming through. He's coming up the order. He's just past Tim Hofford there. He's heading towards the top 10. It's not there yet though. His car there is sounding quite raucous when it's come past me, so it is a broken exhaust, or an exhaust mounting possibly on that car. As one of the slow cars is being lapped as well. On to the Bradford Straight goes Tim Hofford, but further up the order we have this battle raging on between Hewitt and Lana now. They are disputing 4th and 5th positions. Paul Rogers it is in 6th, Matt Higginson Well, he gets away from the line very effectively in that AB Arian, but he's dropped back down to 7th place now. It's a similar story yesterday. Ran strongly in the early stages, dropped back to 7th, but still a very convincing class winner. This is the fight for 4th and 5th, though, between the two drivers that live only a few miles apart, Hewitt and Lana. Both of them racing Mittels, one run by VR Motorsport, one a works Mittel, if you like. There's the Arian of Higginson as the leaders go on to the last lap. It's still Oldbone leading with Cutmore second, Cutmore third behind Bolton. Not by very much, only a couple of car lengths in it as they drop down towards Graham Hill Bend and to the Cooper Straight for the final time then in this shortened race after the red flag. This is the 9th and will be the final lap as well. But there is Billy Oldbone, and he's going to do what we thought he might do at Alton Park, come through to win a round of the Disc Lock RGB Championship for Spire. That new car for this season. Oldbone takes the checkered flag. Al Bolton gives the thumbs up because he finished second behind John Cutmore. And for 4th and 5th it's remarkably close. Only a 10th of a second between Hewitt and Lana. Billy Oldbone took the spoils then. He won by about a couple of seconds from Bolton, Cutmore, Hewitt and Lana, with Paul Rogers 6th. But Scott Mittell got the fastest lap of the race on his way to 11th position overall. Matt Higginson winning Class F. Second place within that class was David Watson in 17th place overall, and Austin Greenway 3rd in 19th overall.
It was a tough race, of course. Red flag through that race. You had a fantastic start to start with, and then the second start was a little bit down.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been starting on the outside from 4th all weekend for both races. Like I said, that's on top of the hill, and like I said, I had to start from pole then on the restart, and it was at the bottom of the hill. And to be honest with you, it just threw me off a little bit. But like I said, I was lucky I could come back through the field nice and cleanly and take the win.
Yeah, you carved through very nicely there. Next round to look forward to. You can't wait now.
Yeah, sure. I just want to get back in it now.
The second Tagiro Civic Cup race of the day already underway, and it's James Griffith that is leading as the cars make their way around Drizzt for the first time. But problems in the background, and a car rolls over, and that is one of the 1600cc Class A cars. It's the Zach Bond machine. The yellow car going over there after digging into the gravel trap. Marshall's rushing over. Let's have a look at the replay. Well, he can, I think, probably just too much speed in. He started on pole position with that class thanks to the reverse grid. You can see that when the car digs into the gravel trap, there's not a lot you can do. That's quite a heavily damaged Civic, I'm afraid to say. The door coming open, but good to see that Zach getting out of the car apparently unscathed, with the 750 Motor Club rescue vehicle very quickly on the scene as well. A restart then, over 9 minutes plus 1 lap for this Civic Cup race. Top 10 reversed, of course, so it's James Griffith on pole, Daniel Howard next to him, row 2, Simon Wallace and John Peerless, as the cars make their way to Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. It's Griffith holding on out front, but what's Carl Swift? He's already up to 4th place, Carl Swift, by the first corner. That's from row 5. And there go what remains of Class A, just the 3 cars. Now, they were interestingly formed on the grid, actually. They'd effectively lined up 3 abreast rather than on their correct grid position. So we'll see what he's done about that, if anything. Oh, Griffith goes wide in the lead of the race. He's held on to it. That's a good effort. Daniel Howard, it still is, in second place, number 19. But look at that, Carl Swift already up to 4th position. Number 10, I could see Oliver Barsby going through in his FN2. It's Buki from Kuma and Beckett, your top 3 at the moment. But I'm just wondering if the first 2 there might be penalised for starting out of position. Well, there's your top 2, and it's Carl Swift that's running second now. That's a fantastic effort from Carl, who won race 1, of course. He had a 4th and a 2nd place at Alton Park as well. This will put him in very good stead in the championship if he can maintain this kind of form. Griffith it is, though, that finished 10th in race 1. Looking at their respective lap times, Griffith did a 55.95 and Swift a 55.25 in the first race, so you'd back Swift to get through 7/10 of a second a lap faster, around somewhere like Brands Indy. That's quite a margin. He gets alongside here and Swift is going to get through. It's taken a little bit of doing actually, but Swift does get through, and he takes the lead of the race away from the more modern shaped car of James Griffith, the red car with the Dayglow livery. Very smart it looks too. Paddock Hill Bend go the top two, and it's a long way back to the next car. They're still sort of shuffling their order as well after the reversed grid formation, and we've got someone off in the gravel, and that's number 30. That's Joshua Leake. That is off, I'm afraid to say. Manages to get through the gravel trap though, does Joshua, in his second season in this Civic Cup. This goes on though, and it's side by side here. That's between, I think it involves John Peerless certainly, and he's going through past Daniel Howard there, number 19, the ex-Saxmax racer, 19 years of age. So Peerless is that's going to go through to what will be third position there. Behind Howard you've got Daniel Reason. There's David Buki going through. And again the Class A cars mixing it with the slower of the Class B cars. I'm sure if they started it from the same grid, Buki would be right there in contention for an overall top 10 finish certainly. Lap times aren't that dissimilar. In race 1, best lap for Mervyn Beckett was a 56.9, for Carl Swift a 55.25. Bear in mind, Swift was a lot quicker than most of the rest of the Class B fields earlier on. Over the line they go. We've got Andrew Gorgler involved in all of this as well, of course. He's looking to make up ground, but it's Peerless from Howard from Reason. Simon Wallace is also up there as well. There's Gorgler. Behind him is number 2. That's Matthew Bolton. Civic Cup has been something of a success. Oh, that's Bolton going off at Graham Hill Bend. I was just saying a long way off as well. Just saying that the Civic Cup has been a real success story over the past couple of years. Now Mark Higginson I could see in the background just looked to be struggling a little bit maybe towards the bottom end of the top 10. Of course we have this reverse grid format. Seems to struggle a little bit in this one with a lot of work to do. Meanwhile Daniel Reason there trying to make up ground. Daniel Howard it is that's behind him, but he's also got other cars to worry about as well around him. Gorgler there in that yellow car, then it's Higginson, and a gap back to the rest. Mark Grice I think also is there or thereabouts in the number 34 car, and Mark had a podium on his second racing debut at Alton Park. He, like Carl Swift and Endaf Owens, who we saw last season, is an ex-autograss racer. There you see him with the black and white and green livery there, and Howard just runs a bit wide there. Oh, is the slight contact, I wonder, between Reason and Howard? And either way, the result is that Reason goes through and Gorgler follows him. Howard is the one that leads out, because I think Mark Grice is going to go through as well, as the last lap board has been shown already. We had that red flag, of course, so it's a slightly shortened race. Well, Carl Swift looking good to do the double here. James Griffith second, John Peerless third, but fourth still under dispute. It's Andrew Gorgler second, or the winner of the second race I should say, at Alton Park, looking to get fourth place away from Daniel Reason, but the checkered flag goes out. Carl Swift completes the double in the Tagiwa Civic Cup. James Griffith takes second. John Peerless on the podium again. He takes third place. Fourth just goes to Daniel Reason, but Swift it is that's very happy with that result, and he's waving. And David Buki was the winner on the road, but my information is that he and Chris Kummer get a penalty, so Mervyn Beckett wins Class A. Well, in actual fact, in the final classification that changed. We'll look at that in a moment. Carl Swift it was that took the win though from James Griffith by 4 seconds. John Peerless third, Daniel Reason fourth, Andrew Gorgler fifth, and Daniel Howard sixth. And as we look Further down the top 20 we can see the Class A finishers, and yes, David Buki confirmed as winner from Chris Coomer and Mervyn Beckett in the end, although we thought Beckett had won it due to a penalty for the other two drivers within that class.
Carl Swift, what a day's race in there. That was a great second race, working your way through and a double for the weekend.
Yeah, fantastic. I think I was up to third by end of first lap, storming start, and just managed to find some way of getting through a few. James Griffiths defended really well for a few laps, but just left enough room at clearways once and I got through.
And that's all you need, of course, a little gap to go through.
Tiny gap and it squeezed in there, yeah.
But valuable points for this year's championship, which is good early stage of the season.
Yeah, fantastic. It takes the pressure off massively if I can claw a bit of a lead now, but I had that last year and lost it all at Snetterton, so you never count your chickens before they hatch.